Let's talk about the co-main event, the chief support, if you will. Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. It ends via decision 48-47. I think everyone kind of had it the same. The fifth round, like I said, was tremendous theater. Really, really fun fight, and I think lived up to the hype. In the end, Shavkat wins. He gets the title shot. I've weighed in on it a little bit in our post show. Obviously, the guys did as well. PT, you've been watching him from the beginning, since his amateur days. Your thoughts on how Ian Garry fared against Shavkat Rakhmonov?
I thought he gave a brilliant account of himself, and I expected him to be quite honest. Ever since this fight was announced, I felt he had a path to victory. I think he maybe forged that path a little bit late in this fight. You know, you mentioned everybody fighting this fight pretty much the same way. 1-2-4, Shavkat, 3-5, Garry is what I had. So exciting in the dying embers of this fight when he gets to the back. And it almost seems like sheer exhaustion just wouldn't allow him to finish the choke. Shavkat at times, and I'm sure this wasn't what was happening, but it almost looked like he was succumbing to the position. It was almost like, all right, go ahead. And I thought he was going to get it done. Brilliant account of himself. Without winning, this is the best this could have gone for Ian. All I'm seeing is comments saying he's earned my respect. He'd earned my respect a very long time ago in terms of his fighting ability. And I think he's shown the world how good he can be. I did think the fight was fought at a weird intensity. And I think you got to credit Ian for that. You know, so much was made of, oh, this guy choked him out in training. This guy did this to him in training. One thing that must have happened in training is that Ian Garry earned Shavkat's respect, because I saw a different version of Shavkat than we've seen in any of his fights that night.
Do you think he was tentative because he knew it was at stake? He had a title shot, he gave it up, and he did just enough to win the fight? Or is that unfair to Ian? Is that unfair to Shavkat?
I think you'd have to be a tactical mastermind to time that out where you just
Yeah.
win by that amount, right? Second round was very close as well in this fight. I don't believe for a second that he went in thinking this is how this one's going to go. I think he knew that Ian can crack. He covers distance very quickly. There was situations where we'd usually see Shavkat steamroll guys who are backing up against the fence, waiting for someone to come in, but he was very aware that Ian could have something coming back to him. I mentioned that there are questions about Ian's wrestling, just in terms of we haven't seen him fight an out and out wrestler. We still haven't seen him fight an out and out wrestler. I don't think that's what Shavkat is, but his response to the grappling in this co-main event was absolutely brilliant. The back take in the final round was exquisite.
Amazing.
So close to getting the finish. I honestly thought it would be a close fight. I thought he had a chance of winning, but seeing it play out, I think it's shown everybody that this guy is a very, very serious contender, and someone who I believe most of the world now agree will be in the title conversation for a very long time, and particularly next year, 2025, with everything that has to shake out.
My feeling afterwards was his stock went up, and perhaps most importantly, I felt like he earned the respect of the MMA fans who at times have not wanted to give him respect because they felt like, whatever, they didn't connect with him, all the stuff we've talked about, right? They felt like he was trying too hard, his personality, whatever. I feel like afterwards people were like, fair play. Like you showed up, you took him the distance. No one's ever done that. 3-round, 5-round fight. You had your moment in the dying seconds. It was right there for you. And also, like, to me, it matters the way he handled it. He showed up to the press conference. He didn't take anything away. He said, all right, I didn't get my hand raised. I'll be back. I'll see him not twice, but 3 times we're going to fight. And on it goes. I thought he handled everything perfectly, including the fight. And I feel from the people, tell me if you feel otherwise, that they're now saying, you know what, Ian, we, maybe we were too hard on you or whatever. Much respect. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly don't know how people didn't get there sooner, given what he's done. Granted, like some of the later fights weren't as spectacular, and I don't think this was a spectacular fight either. But I thought it was a really, really intriguing one. I think it's been obvious how good this guy is. Like he's a brilliant fighter. And you mentioned after the fight, when the announcement was read out, a lot of respect for Ian in that moment. Didn't make it about himself, clap the hands, let's move on. Sportsmanship is lost in this game an awful lot, but he showed there in a moment that meant a whole lot to him that he can rise above it and represent the sport and represent Ireland at a very good level.
Seeing a lot of people say Ian Garry versus Leon Edwards. March, 22nd, London. Feels like a quick turnaround. I'd love to see it. What do you think?
Oh, I'd love that fight. I love that fight. And as we say in Ireland, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, and it's right there. I mean, if you don't might make this fight now, it might never come around again. And it feels like it's right there. And Ian is a guy who loves to stay active. I know that he's not a guy who particularly has voiced optimism or enthusiasm when it comes to fighting in London. Obviously, fighting in London against Leon Edwards adds a whole extra dimension to that. But I think it would be really good for Ian to go over and do that. I think Ian thinks he'd beat Leon. And I think that would be something that would really, I think it would give him the best chance of resonating here at home if he went to London and he fought the UK's top guy and he came away with a win there. I think Irish people, that would resonate with them an awful lot.
I would love to see it. I do wonder if Colby wins on Saturday, or even if he loses, if he doesn't like. And I don't know if Colby ever takes that fight, if I'm being honest. But
this could be his Seaver. Like we slot Colby in there against Ian and re-inject his title hopes.
By the way, who had multiple Dennis Seaver references in the first hour of the post UFC 310?
Dennis Seaver all over the place.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Did you how many? What is it? 3? What's the line? It's a lot of Dennis Seaver, but shout out to the great German fighter Dennis Seaver. No idea what he's doing these days. I don't really see him like coaching or cornering anyone.
Just throwing spinning back kicks. Like
not a ton of talent coming out of Germany into the UFC these days. There was a time. Was it Nick Hein and a couple others back in the day?
Hackparast.
Oh yeah, that's right. Nevertheless, much respect to him, and the tension, the face-offs, all that stuff, tremendous. Speaking of face-offs, your level of interest. Let me ask GC about this. Shavkat Bilal, after seeing that incredible face-off after the win.
The fight or the face-off?
No, your level of interest in the fight after seeing the face-off.
Yeah, I'm incredibly interested in it. I still think Shavkat is going to become the champion, and the only way to do that is to fight Bilal Muhammad. So yeah, I'm still very interested in it. Yeah, the face-off, we're seeing pictures now. The awkwardness of Joe Rogan being like, security doesn't know he's the champ. Come on, let him through.
Oh my God.
And then it was way too respectful, and like the language barrier and everything didn't help. So yeah, the face-off kind of fell flat. But I'm still very excited for that fight.
Based on what you saw from Shavkat on Saturday, and obviously every fight is different, your level of confidence in him beating Bilal, do you think that, I actually feel like going into the originally scheduled Bilal fight, people were saying, and they often say this when people fight Bilal, and it's unfair to him, oh, this guy's going to smoke him, right? And I don't know if as many people are saying that after the fight against Ian. Do you get what I'm saying?
1,000%, man.
Yeah.
When you see a guy who only finishes people finally go the distance and it be a very close fight, I mean, I don't think anyone can argue that was a 48-47. Ian Garry clearly took 2 rounds off him. You saw him put in some really bad situations, almost landing the choke. Like, it's like what Ian said in that video that he posted on his Instagram. Like, he proved to the world Shavkat is human. So obviously people are going to be like, oh, Bilal actually has a chance in that, which for me makes it all the more intriguing. Now, like, can Bilal put the stamp on it and actually defeat the so-called boogeyman, or does Shavkat come back and have this incredible, like, bounce-back performance? I mean, look at, like, Hamzat, for example. First time he went the distance, got dropped by Gilbert Burns and everything like that. Everyone starts being like, well, is he actually legit? And then he comes back, this most recent performance against Robert Whittaker absolutely runs through him. And it's just like, oh, yeah, he still is that guy. Give him a title shot now. So I want to see it happen. And I want to see if Shavkat can get back to his finishing ways or if Bilal can retain the title.
Who do you favor right now?
Still Shavkat, but like, I think I saw a line like minus 200. I feel like that's fair. Like Shavkat doesn't need to be in the minus 400 realms against Bilal Muhammad, especially after this performance. So yeah, Shavkat slightly as a favorite.
Yeah, I mean I'm into the fight. I want to see how it plays out. There's something about, all right, I'm happy. He took the risk and he wins. He gets to keep his title shot. You would feel horrible for the guy if someone, if he would have stumbled and then he loses the title shot. And it's happened before a couple of times, most notably Karo Parisian way back in the day. And now we're about to see the first Armenian-born fighter fight for a UFC title in Arman Tsarukyan next month. But it kind of feels like, okay, this was the way it was supposed to go. Ian's stock goes up. The people are giving him a lot more love and respect. And so let's see how it plays out in 2025. But I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Ian Garry is fighting like this time next year, if he would have fought for the belt already or is about to fight for the belt. I don't think he needs to do much more, right, PT? Like he wins one more fight, he's right back in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, the right fight. Like, that's why Leon Edwards makes so much sense.
Yeah, if they book that Leon fight in London, it feels like if he wins that, he can
Yeah.
get a title shot off of that.
But yeah, and I think the same goes for Leon, right? It works both ways. You're basically straight into a number one contender fight, as far as I'm concerned, for both guys. If you win that fight, that's why I really like it. I do disagree with GC and you. I don't know, actually. Sorry, maybe just GC. That fight has changed how I feel about Bilal v Shavkat and Bilal v Ian Garry.
Tell me.
When I saw Bilal fight in Manchester, his ability to change the dynamic from standing to ground is unbelievable. And it's unstoppable as far as what I could see from Leon Edwards, a guy who's the greatest fighter in this generation of UK, arguably one of the greatest fighters in UK history. Well, not even arguably, he just is. In front of UK fans, I know in a wild hour of the morning, I will concede that much. But Shavkat and Ian, they aren't. Sorry, Shavkat isn't that kind of wrestler. He's not a guy shooting for doubles, and Leon never really even got going that night because he was able to shift that dynamic so much. And as I said, it was a different Shavkat, and we credit Ian for that. Ian took him out of his game, but unless he's going to hurt him pretty much straight away, I think he's going to be defending takedowns or being taken down for the vast majority of that fight if he fights him. That's how I felt about when I was watching those fight for 25 minutes. Bilal, I think Bilal would have been sat there rubbing his hands together watching that co-main event, to be honest.
I agree. I think it's 50-50 at this moment. Like, I think in the past people were thinking it was maybe 70-30. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's a very close fight. And honestly, Bilal has fought now for the belt, and he's been doing it for longer in the UFC. I think it's crazy to suggest it's a foregone conclusion that Shavkat is just going to roll right over him. And again, I understand Shavkat a little banged up. Daniel Cormier alluded to this. His knee was banged up, so who knows how much of a factor all that was. They have the history together, all that stuff and more. But I think it's a coin flip fight, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we get it maybe springtime, April, May, June, that type of period. Thanks for watching this video. Hey, before you go, do me a favor, hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up, hit the little bell thingy as well. Leave us a nice comment or two. We appreciate you all very much.